Hi everyone, I'm Tami from Silver Lining Organizers, and I'm here today to talk to you about meal planning. So I'm super excited. Let me know if you have any questions or comments or tips of your own on how to meal plan. So my goal today is kind of to give you an overview of how you can actually save time and money by cooking for your family. And a lot of us, things have changed over the last year, and we're really used to maybe ordering in food with DoorDash or deliveries, or maybe picking up food on our way home. And that means that unfortunately we're not able to cook healthy meals for ourselves and our family. And that can be a problem because that really affects our overall health as well as it costing us money. So one of the best things you can do if you're going to meal plan is to have an organized kitchen. And this is really, really important because having an organized kitchen means that you don't have to clean up clutter before you actually cook. So having a clean and organized kitchen and pantry is the number one thing you can do for successful meal planning. And in order to do that, all you really need to do is take maybe a morning or an afternoon and go through all of your kitchen cupboards and drawers and also your pantry, pull everything out, assess everything, and put everything back and that you're keeping. Obviously, if there's something that is expired food-wise or you aren't going to use, you can either trash or donate those items. And then everything you put back, you want to set it up very much like you would set up a grocery store. So if you were in a grocery store, you know you would find condiments in one area, bread and baked goods in another area. You would see canned goods in one area, produce, you get the idea. So set up your refrigerator and your pantry much like you would see in a grocery store, your very own grocery store. That way it's a lot easier to see what you have and to plan your meals in advance. So once you have organized your kitchen and your pantry, now you're ready to really think about meal planning. And it can kind of be intimidating at first, but I'm going to give you some tips and tricks to help, and it will definitely save you so much time and money in the long run. So the first thing I usually think about is weekly planning. So I try to clean out my refrigerator and review my pantry every week when I'm figuring out what meals I'm going to have for the upcoming week. And I don't necessarily plan anything. Monday's going to be this, Tuesday's going to be this, and it's great if you have like a Tuesday taco night or Friday's pizza night. That's often great because you know what you're going to have on those nights, but often I just see what's going on that day and then we'll pick from the meals that I've planned accordingly. So I will go and look at my kitchen, pantry, and my refrigerator and see what I have to work with and then pick out my recipes for the week. And so once I do that, I have my grocery list done and I can supplement anything that I'm missing, and then I'm ready to do my meal planning. So it's really, really important that you make a plan for your meals and that you have a shopping list. And they always say don't go to the grocery store hungry. I actually do all of my shopping now, well, I'd say 90% of it online with a click list. And I do that because it actually saves me money in the long run. I don't purchase unnecessary things, and I'm able to easily use coupons and find out what I want and what I don't want and look at specials. So that's really easy for me to do online, and then I don't overspend. Now, if you're someone who really likes to pick out your own meats and produce, that is something you're going to give up for that, and sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But for me, I'm okay with that, and then in the summer I'll go to maybe a fruit market or maybe a local butcher to get those items. So once you have your weekly meal plan and then you make your grocery list and you bring your groceries home, and it's so exciting, right? If you're able to plan out and cook every night and your schedule allows for you to do that, that's great. I often am tutoring. I'm also a tutor and I tutor in the evening, so I'm not always able to cook the way I want to. So I do a lot of meal prepping. and I want to give you some tips on meal prepping and how I do meal prepping. So some of the products that I love to use are the meal prep containers. I have two right here that I use. These are from my own kitchen. This one is like a bento box. It has 3 different sections, and this is just a regular plain container, but you can get these. They're reusable, dishwasher safe, microwave safe, and you can get those from Amazon. And I love those. So if I do a lot of meal prepping for the week on a Sunday, I'm able to pull those out and just fill them up as I go along, and within a couple hours I have all my lunches and some of my dinners for the entire week, which is great. It really, really helps. And I'll also use these little containers. These are similar to little takeout containers you can get on Amazon as well. And I use these if there's any sauces or anything that I want to keep separate in my meals. And I also use them when I'm prepping. So if I do tutor in the evening, sometimes I have some time in the afternoon where I can prep my dinner. So what I'll do is I might pull out my chicken, marinate my chicken, get that started. Then I might cut up any vegetables I need to have. I might separate any spices or seasonings I have and pop them in here. And then when it's time to assemble everything, I have everything already done and prepared, so it's super easy for me just to put it all together. If you're chopping up onions, I usually chop up a bunch and then separate them into, maybe a half cup of onion containers. You can put them in Ziploc snack size bags. You can put them in food storage containers, whatever you want, but I separate those out, and then that way I'm able to just grab them whenever I need them. Another tip that I do is I take a couple garlic cloves. Well, I take a couple bunches and I take all the garlic cloves apart and I put them in a container of oil and I bake them really slow on like 200 for a couple of hours until they're nice and caramelized. And then I kind of smash them up in the oil, and I have homemade roasted garlic and roasted garlic oil for the rest of the week. And that comes in so handy. I don't have to purchase already the minced garlic or chop up garlic. I have everything ready to go, and I can just take out what I need when I need it. Another tip I like to tell people is when you're meal planning, you can actually save money because you can buy the fruits and vegetables and the items that are in season. And this is an easy list to find in your area. You can just Google it, in season fruits and vegetables. And then that way you're getting a good price on them because they are in season, so there's a surplus of them. And you're also end up getting a variety of fruits and vegetables throughout the year. And I really encourage you to try something new, look up different recipes where you can use those items. And that's a great tip as far as what do I buy, go with what is in season and what's really, really fresh for you. And also if there's some in seasons, if here in August, corn is in season, so I might buy a bunch and slice it off the cob and go ahead and freeze it, and then I can have that corn throughout the year. So those are some tips to do as well. One thing I want you to get used to doing is using your crock pot and your Instapot. These can be your best friends. I love my crock pot. And one thing you can do is you can look up recipes to use and to make for the whole family and prep them in advance and then put them in a Ziploc bag. And this is actually something that is so useful if you've ever tried to put a soup or a liquid stew, something like that, into a baggie, you're worried about it spilling. You line these up. They come from Amazon again, several in a pack, and then they're adjustable, and you put your bag on them, and then you fill them up with your soups. And then once they're cooled a little bit, because you don't want to put anything hot directly into the freezer, then I like to zip them up and I like to lay them flat in my freezer to freeze. And then once they're flat, then I can label them, and you should label them before you even fill them up, but I label them and then I file them in my refrigerator or in my freezer like this, like a filing system. And then it's super easy for me to pick out what I want. So I might spend a couple hours on a Sunday and make a chicken tortilla soup. And I'll fill up 3 bags because I'll double or triple the recipe, and then I'll have those throughout the upcoming couple months to use if I'm in a rush or I just don't feel like doing anything for dinner. Then I'm able to use those. And you can do that with so many recipes. It doesn't even have to be a soup or stew, but if you prep them in advance, put them in a Ziploc, freeze them, you will actually have your own frozen meal section. And by taking a weekend day and doing meal prep for a couple of hours, every Sunday, you're going to build up this reserve, which is going to make it so easy for you. And anyone in the family can you take these out the night before, put them in the refrigerator, and then pop them the next morning in the slow cooker, and by the time you come home, you're ready to go. I also will buy some bread, like French bread, the long French breads, and then I'll cut them up into the portion sizes, and I'll free those so I can pull one of those out as well and have that ready to go. If I am doing something, there's a lot you can do with your crock pot and also with one pan sheet meals. So what that means is everything goes on one pan that you put in the oven. So I might have some small chicken breasts and some cut up potatoes and some carrots and maybe some green beans. Now the one thing you want to think about when you're doing your one sheet meals is that the food has to cook at about the same time. So you wouldn't want to put in a green bean with a baked potato and a chicken breast because they're going to cook at all different times and temperatures. So kind of think about that. How long is each item going to take to cook, and then cut it at the appropriate size so it all cooks together, and then you have one pan to clean up. And if you put foil on the bottom of your pan, you really hardly even have to clean that up, and you have that all ready to go. So that's something also to look into, and you can Google one pan recipes, sheet pan recipes, that kind of thing. And there's also a great resource for the Instapot or the slow cooker recipes, and some of them will even give you the grocery list that you need if that's something that's new to you. And I help a lot of my clients prep meals and plan meals, and I myself do a lot of meal prepping. If you're a friend of mine on my personal page, you know that I always post my prep meals, and so I wanted to give you some insights on how I do that. So if I'm making almost anything, I almost always double the recipe, which I kind of talked about before. So if I'm making a casserole, I'll make 2. If I'm making macaroni cheese, I'll make 2 or more pans of it. If I am making lasagna, I'm going to make 2, right? So I'm always going to make an extra one to put in my freezer for later. And then I have a list on my freezer on the side of my refrigerator that lets me know what I have available in my freezer, so I know exactly what meals I have, and then when I use it I just cross it off so that I know that that's no longer in there. But on any given Sunday you will find me for a certain amount of time meal prepping. I really like to meal prep my lunches and some of my dinners as well as some breakfasts. So let's kind of start with breakfast. A great thing to do for prepping your breakfast is in the jar. So you might add, and you can really use any container. You'll see them used most often with like the mason jars, the smaller mason jars, but they're called overnight oats. And there's lots of recipes, but you can make up your own. It's super easy. You're just going to add your oats on the bottom, and then you're going to add your almond milk or your regular milk, and then any kind of fruit you like, granola, coconut, flaxseed, whatever is appealing to you, and then you put a lid on it and you put it in your fridge, and then you can pull them out in the morning. The oats have gotten soft and you have like the perfectly balanced breakfast. You can also prep some little egg muffins in advance, and when you do this you're just mixing up your eggs like you would scrambled eggs, and you're going to put them in your muffin tins and you're going to bake them. And then you can add different things. You could add bacon or turkey bacon and cheese to some of the eggs. You could add a bunch of fresh vegetables, spinach, mushrooms, ham, whatever you like. And if you want to be on the healthier side, you can choose some of the more healthy options. And then you bake those, and then you pull one out and you heat it up in the microwave just like you would any other kind of pre-made and processed breakfast sandwich. So I love doing that as well. So we can kind of move on to lunches. And for lunches, I will do anything from making, maybe in this I'll make a little salad sampler. So I might take, make a 5-bean salad and then maybe add some cottage cheese, or you could do some sliced cheese, and then I might make a leafy green salad. And I like to use a lot of fresh greens, and I do like a lot of vegetables, so I will just mix together kale and spinach and romaine and whatever vegetables I can find. And I also like to do a quick pickle on things like onions, and you can even do them on cucumbers and carrots. And this is a great way to kind of introduce a light, refreshing dressing without using a lot of the creamy dressings, which can really cut down on calories and sodium and fat. And that's really just basically, you're going to pickle them in a vinegar. It could be a rice vinegar, a white wine vinegar, a balsamic vinegar, and you just kind of cut up the vegetables and just let them sit in that vinegar with maybe a little bit of sugar if you want, and some salt and pepper. And then you have this great kind of dressing or condiment for your salad. If you're going to do a salad in a mason jars, you want to make sure you do it in layers. So you put, you don't want it to get soggy. So you want to put the dressing on top and maybe separate it from the rest of the vegetables. And then when you dump it out into your bowl to eat for lunch, everything stays fresh and crisp. So that's another thing I like to do. I also will meal prep maybe the day before I'm going to do that. I will make a bunch of chicken in the crock pot and shred it, because there's so many things you can do with shredded chicken. And if you're vegetarian, I've also done this with tofu, not in the crock pot, but I've used tofu as my protein. I love chickpeas, so I use a lot of chickpeas, but you can obviously make substitutions. But I will make a bunch of chicken and shred it up. And then with that shredded chicken, I have so many possibilities. I can make a barbecue shredded chicken for the family. I could make an Indian curry chicken and add some chickpeas and vegetables to that. I could actually even make it, add some Mexican seasoning and make it into an enchilada casserole. A stir fry would be great as well. And if you don't like the texture of shredded chicken, you could also cut up your chicken and then just do like a fast stir fry and then separate it and add your seasonings or spices after that. So there's a bunch of things you can do with shredded chicken that, and even shredded beef, that allows you to have different things and offer different things to your family. And if we're adding spice, really kind of try to experiment with dry spices. They're obviously going to be a lot lower in fat. You might want to watch the salt content on some of them, but they're going to be lower on fat and calories than many of your prepackaged sauces. I will sometimes make like my a homemade curry sauce, and then again I'm going to make extra and freeze it or use it for something else. Another thing I love to do is making a sheet pan of roasted vegetables. So again, I'm going to kind of think what cooks at the same rate. So I might add some cherry tomatoes and some cut up green beans and some mushrooms, as well as some eggplant, because those about take the same amount of time to cook. And I just drizzle on a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper. You can add any fresh herbs that you want to bump up the flavor. And once I have that, I can separate those to make my meals in my little bento box container. So I usually fill this part with my vegetables. So I could do a mix of those vegetables, or I could just do broccoli and carrots that I've roasted. I roast almost any vegetable. I even roast chickpeas, and then I might add my protein, and then I'll add maybe some brown rice. So you can think about that, and you can kind of mix it up so you're not eating the same thing. You might add different vegetables and a different chicken with a different starch to some of your containers. And if you're going to label your containers and put them in the freezer, make sure you put the date and what's included in the meal, and then also any instructions that you have for heating it up. Another thing I like to do, obviously, is making chili, and shredded chicken is also great for chicken, white chicken chili, or even regular chili. I like to make chili because it is so super simple. I just add a bunch of beans, I mix it up, I do maybe 3 different kinds of beans, and then I love ground turkey. And if you're not a fan, you could mix ground turkey and lean ground beef. You really won't even notice the difference. And then I add that and just some tomatoes, tomato paste, tomato sauce, however you make your chili, a bunch of seasonings, chili powder, cumin, a little cayenne, salt, pepper, and you can watch your sodium. If you're watching your sodium, you can cut down on the sodium because it already has flavor. And then any fresh herbs you want to use, and onion and garlic, and you already have a chili. And it's so easy to do, and if you make a huge pot of it, you can easily get 4 meals out of that, and that saves so much time. And then kind of think outside of the box. So besides, you know, having that chili, what can you do with it? Well, you could make chili spaghetti, or you could put chili over squash noodles. You could put chili on nachos with cheese for a fun snack on the weekend. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with your meal planning to kind of get creative. And it really will help your health because you're not eating out as much. You're actually controlling what goes into your body. And you might consider, you know, taking a cooking class or watching some YouTube videos, or, you know, calling a professional organizer that specializes in kitchen organization and meal prep. So that's something I do, and I love it. I'm really passionate about it, and it fits into any kind of lifestyle. And I'm sure there's things that I really haven't even thought about, and you guys might have some great ideas. And if you do, I would love for you to share those with me. I'm always interested in learning new things. Oh, I did want to talk a little bit also about snacks, and it could be a breakfast as well, which are smoothies. Smoothies are great, and you can very easily take your favorite protein powder and prep your own, and in the morning you just add it with ice. Or I've even used the silicone muffin cups, and I might put in my yogurt and some berries and some oats and then freeze that. And then in the morning I pop it out and I blend it up with some almond milk, and I have my own smoothie. If you're using frozen berries, that's super easy because that's going to be your frozen component to kind of make it a smoothie with some almond milk, maybe yogurt. You can use regular milk, oats, flaxseed. There's a bunch of recipes you can use, and it gets really fun. And I will tell you that to any fruit smoothie, you can add fresh spinach, and it will be bright green and beautiful, but no one will know. Your kids won't know. I used to make a smoothie for my kids when they came home from lunch almost every day during elementary school, middle school, and high school, and I would make them a fruit spinach smoothie. They got all their fruits and vegetables almost in one serving, and you cannot even taste the spinach component. So that is a great way to get fruits and vegetables into your kiddos if they're not a super fan of eating them on their own. I also like shredding up, you know, carrots, and I also shred onion, and then I mix those with things, and they're not chunky enough for a lot of kids for it to bother them, but they do get the added nutrients. Another tip for kids is I would add some carrot juice to their orange juice. I'm not a big juice person because it's so high in sugar, but adding that carrot juice to the orange juice gave it an extra boost, and it actually makes the orange juice a little less tangy, so kids seem to really like it. I think that's about it for me with my meal tips. The best thing I can tell you is just start slow, getting used to working with the ingredients. Prep ahead of time as much as you can, whether you're doing a bunch of meals at once or you're prepping just for a couple of dinners ahead of time. If you start chopping up things, chop up what you need for the next meal. It will just save you time. So remember, I am organized because I'm just too lazy to look for things. I just want everything to be simple, and that's why I do meal prepping, because it makes my life better. I'm able to eat what I want, and I feel better doing it, and I save money in the process. So if you would like any other tips on meal planning, or you have any questions, or even if you want any resources, please feel free to reach out for me. I'm going to send the link to my business page and also the link to my group, Light My Spark. If you would like to join that, that would be awesome. I give a lot of tips on organizing and just living your best life. So I would love to have you join us there, and let me know what other lives you would like to see on any organizing topics. So I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day and a great weekend. Happy weekend. Bye.